Welcome to Senior Insights. My name is Cynthia, and today I'm going to be doing a video on mostly my dog Quinn, who is a Great Dane. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of why I have always had Great Danes and what my experience has been, and maybe a little bit about why I like them. And then at the end, I have several clips that I've put together of videos of Quinn so you can see her. That's what people have been asking me. I want to give you a warning that although there's several minutes of it, it's chopped up in different scenes because I'm not a cinematographer and she doesn't cooperate because like most kids, you know, she just doesn't, she does her own thing. So I had a hard time getting footage. But anyway, just let me get started. Many years ago, when I was married to my first husband, we decided that we wanted to have a Great Dane. And the reason we decided that was because our neighbor had one. And we loved watching that dog romp in the snow. Now, you've seen nothing until you've seen a dog romp in the snow, but a Great Dane romping in the snow is just super adorable. And their dog was super adorable romping in the snow. So guess what? We had to have a Great Dane. So we went and we got one. The one across the street, our neighbor's, was fawn colored. So he was like a Scooby-Doo. And ours was black and white. We used to call him a tuxedo, or we called him a Boston Black because of the coloring that she had. And her name was Gretchen. And she lived with us in that house that I loved. And she was great. She was a great dog. Everybody loved her. She was a good dog. She was not destructive. None of mine have been destructive at all. She did eat one shoe, chewed on one shoe. Nothing else. But then we got the bright idea that we would breed her. You know, we were young and stupid. So we bred her. And that was the first time I ever saw dogs mating. That was interesting, but we had to leave her there for a couple of days just to make sure that things worked out well. She had 9 puppies. So she had 9 puppies. They were as big as cats, not kittens, cats. And each one was different and unique, just like us. They were each special, and they all survived. They were all healthy and everything. And we would take them outside. We had to go down a long staircase to get into our backyard, but it was a very secure backyard. And we also had, our yard was fenced in, and we also had a fenced in area for the puppies. We would carry them down in a laundry basket, and when we came home from work and we brought them upstairs, they wouldn't all fit. That's how fast they grew. They grew so fast, and they were so big. And there was 9 of them, and they were meh. And when they started to eat, when they weren't nursing, you know, when she was weaning them, I can remember the sound. They were like desperate for the food, and they were scratching in the pan. I still have the pan. It was well over 50 years ago that happened. So we were able to sell all those puppies. And there's only one that we kind of followed a little bit. We gave one away because we sold all of them, but we had one that we couldn't sell, probably because she was the most expensive one. She was the prettiest one. She was probably the pick of the litter. But, you know, so we gave her away. And the woman we gave her to was a tiny thing. She was like 4 feet 8 inches. And that dog ran ramshot over her, chewed her furniture, did, you know, I mean, she had a rough time. They're big, and when they're puppies, they're they're strong. They're very strong. But when they're puppies, they're just like any other puppy. Their behavior is exactly like a Chihuahua. They're just 100 times bigger. And that's why probably people are frightened of them. A lot of people are frightened of them. Their bark is very deep. And, if you didn't know the dog, all of Great Danes are gentle giants. I'm sure that there are few that are not, just like with any breed, just like with any career, any profession, I mean. So that was Gretchen. And my husband and I were divorced. And so Gretchen lived with my in-laws. She moved into my in-laws, and they took very good care of her. And she passed away when they were taking care of her. She was ready, it was her age. I think she actually died when she was 8 or 9, so she was kind of young. Although Great Danes, large dogs, don't live that long. So I was on my own. I met my husband. We got married, and we decided to get a dog. We already had kids, and we decided to get a dog, and we decided to get a Great Dane because I love Great Danes. They are the best dogs. So we got one, and it was a gray Merle, and her name was Patches. And we did the cropped ears and everything, and they're very hard to do when they're fresh, and you have to wrap them around like toilet paper tubes, and it was really hard. I cut my finger one time, and I had to have stitches in it because I was trying to do it. And if you don't do it correctly, then they can get kinks in their ears, and then they don't look good because the whole idea is their ears are supposed to stand up. Anyway, Patches was very well loved by the kids, and us. So Patches grew up with the kids, basically. She was so much fun. We had kind of an open concept house. It was come into the family room, and there was the kitchen. It was all like one big room with a wall in between, and she would go running around. She'd scale over the couch. She was like a whirling dervish, but she was fun. She was a good dog, and when we moved to Maine, when we purchased the campground, of course she came with us, and by that time my kids were going to college, and so they weren't really living with us. They were coming home. Well, Dustin I never saw once he went to college. I haven't seen him since. Erica was still living with us at the campground. But she became sick and old, and I think she actually died when she was like 8 or 9. It was a very sad day. It was really, really a sad day because she couldn't move, she couldn't walk, and so Dustin had to carry her down. We lived on the second floor. We had an apartment above the campground store, and Dustin loved that dog. Well, we all did, but we took her and we had to have her put to sleep. 3 days later, we get another one, and that was Buffy. Buffy was the fawn-colored one like Scooby-Doo, and once again we had her ears cropped too. She was a great dog. She was kind of the mascot for the campground because she would get walked, several times a day, and everybody loved her, and she would kind of sit up on the deck and watch everybody, guard the place. And she was a pretty dog, and everybody really liked her. But at that time, it was just my husband and myself when we had her. And then we moved here, and she was here. And she was my husband's constant companion because he was home alone because I was still working and he had retired. We had sold the campground and he was retired and he was at home. He did everything, though. He went grocery shopping, he paid the bills, blah, blah, blah. I've told you all that before. Took care of the dog and then took care of the chickens that I had to have. And the dog, when my husband passed away, my husband was on the floor. He fell. he was still alive, but the dog was sitting right next to him when I came home. And so that was that. My husband was gone. The dog was kind of lost for a while, actually. And then a couple of years later, I found a friend, and he was staying over one weekend, and you'll never believe this. Buffy went out, and she got skunked. This is the first the first weekend he ever stayed over. We're out there in the middle of the night trying to clean up the skunk smell. It was a riot. It was really funny. But it wasn't funny because if you've ever smelled skunk right up and close, it's awful. It's really, really awful. She did that twice. The other thing that she got into was she got into porcupines. And now she has quills all over her face. I was trying to find the pictures of those because that happened twice. To the emergency vet, we had to go because we couldn't deal with them. Do you know those quills, they have hooks on them? And if you don't get them out right, she had them in her mouth and down her throat and everything. It was awful. Partly because she was eating she got the better of the porcupine, but he got her, he was defending himself. But it was gross. Anyway, so she was just an awesome dog. She was just an awesome dog. She was the dog that jumped into the water and was following us on one of our first boat rides, and we couldn't figure out how she got into the water, what we were going to do, how was she going to get out of the water, what we were going to get her in the boat. We didn't know what the heck to do with her. And so anyway, we stopped our boat ride. Another funny story was Kevin. Kevin is Gay's son. Kevin is the one that brought us the steak dinner. Well, Kevin has always been, he was the one who rescued us when we were in the boat when we ran out of gas. He's one of the biggest people that laugh at us all the time. We're laughing at us all the time with the boat. But we went away to Mexico. We went away to Puerto Vallarta. And Kevin had, unfortunately for him, volunteered to watch the dog because everybody loved her. She had a great personality. So he watches the dog. She kept escaping and coming home because he just lives down the street. And he was beside himself. He was so angry or perturbed. He slipped it was the middle of winter. He slipped on the ice. And when we came home, we brought him a present. We bought him a hat, like a baseball cap from the resort. Now you have to know Kevin. He is the black and red plaid wool winter coat, green wool slap. He's a real Maine man, like Paul Bunyan kind of thing. And we gave him this really nice souvenir hat from. You're giving me a hat for watching that dog? So we laughed about that for years. Kevin still rubs it in my face. But anyway, then the dog became sick, and I had to bring her because I was all by myself now. I had a boyfriend, but we didn't live together. So I brought her to the vet, and I knew exactly why I was going. And so I gave them the okay. She and I were sitting on the floor. They had a really nice comforter on the floor for her because she could hardly walk. She couldn't really walk. And the doctor said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Yeah." And so she gave her the injection, and the dog is just looking at me and looking at me. And then she was gone. I started wailing. Oh my God, I killed my dog. I felt so bad. I killed her. What if she was going to be all right? Oh, it was just heartbreaking. But you've all been through that, so you know. But she was older. She made it. I think she was 12. I think she was 12. So she had a good life because large dogs don't. Their lifespan is usually between 8 and 10 years. So she had a good life. And then along came Quinny 3 days later. I just couldn't let it rest. You know, most people would take a grieving period. No, not me. I had to have another dog. Well, I was alone too. So I tracked down a dog. I was like desperate. When I get something in my mind, that's it. There's no stopping me. So I was able to I've got Quinn, and she was adorable. She was in a big litter. And when I think back, I was so desperate to get the dog that she came from a puppy mill. You know, these people had Great Danes all over the place, running all over the place, out of control. Who knows who, I mean, they told us who the parents were, but who knows? But anyway, so she is very skittish. She's afraid of everything. And it's probably from inbreeding. I don't know if that's normal or whatever, but anyway, she's a doll. She doesn't have a mean bone in her body. And as I said, she's afraid of everything. If she gets attacked by a dog, she will fight back, but she usually would not be the aggressor. Now, she is not able to go out and go for long walks or to run around. All the dogs in this neighborhood run free. And she cannot do that. First of all, I would never allow her to run free because I would be terrified she'd knock somebody over when they're walking. Some old lady like me. But she has 2 torn ACLs in her back legs, and if she does any excess walking or running around, you imagine all those rocks that she'd be running all over, she gets limp and she's in pain, so she can't do that. I did not have her ears cropped, and I love the floppy ears. I absolutely love the floppy ears. So she has been a very good dog. Really enjoyed having her. My ex really enjoyed her, and if anything happens to me, he's going to take her because he loves her. And he helps me out when I go on a vacation or something, and so I don't have to put her in a kennel. And so hopefully he'll be, I take him to the airport and he'll help me with Quinn. So it's kind of a good thing. Okay, you stay. You stay. Come. Sit. Stay. Stay. Quinn, come. Quinn. She found a piece on the floor. Quinny, come on. Sit. Down. Now wait until you see this. Over. Good girl. Down. Over. Whoops. Down. Over. Can you look at me? Okay. Now let's do a real test. Easy, 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 easy. Okay. She didn't quite wait. Where did I get such a beautiful girl? Where did I get such a beautiful girl? Okay. Oh, you're being so good. You're being so good. Okay. Let's see if you can jump up a little bit. That's a good, whoops. We dropped it. Here's a, let me come. And sit. Sit down. That's a good girl. That's a good girl. You go easy. Easy. What a pretty girl. Okay. You want to do a trick? You want to show them how you do your trick? Over. Watch this. This is the cutest thing. Oh, you're such a good girl. What a good girl. You stay right there. See how smart she is. Okay. Okay. What a good girl. Okay, up. Stay. Easy. Good girl. What a good girl you are. You're such a good girl. Down. She just about ate my hand off. Now you stay right there. Good girl. Down. That's a good girl. Oh, she's gonna sit down. Over. She can't wait. Okay. All done. We're all done. She's looking to see if there's any scraps. Quitting. Okay, Quinny, come. Sit down. That's a good girl. Now you go easy. Easy. I'll let you have another one because you were so up. Sit down. Okay. Okay, now you stay there. You stay. No. Down. Watch me. Okay. You stay. I'm putting one here. I can't bend down very well. Okay. Now she's looking for the other one that she just saved. Winnie. Come here. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. Look at her sitting. Can you see her sitting there? I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. She's a pretty girl. who's such a pretty girl? Who is such a pretty girl? Is it Queenie? Is Queenie a pretty girl? You're gonna fall off the couch. Are you gonna fall off the couch? You beautiful baby. Are you my beautiful baby? Huh? Yes, you're my beautiful baby. I'm gonna get you. Oh, I'm gonna get you. I am going to get you. Oh, you're such a good girl. You are such a good girl. Let me see those ears. Oh, they look nice and clean. I just wanted to show you this again because I got this from Kathy in Iowa, and she's the one who made the knitted socks and did the beautiful card and everything, but this is her version of Quinny, and it is so adorable. I found a frame today that's going to fit it, so I'm going to frame it, and she will have a place of honor. So this is what Quinny actually looks like in cartoon fashion. And you will see, I'm going to show the films now. Bear in mind, they are not the best quality.